motion training. You have to build an area where you can practice your swing. The hands and the club stay on the shaft line, or the handle stays pointed toward you. When the club's in this attitude, the club is outside your hands more. Yep.
The handle stays pointed towards you on the back, on the first part of the backswing.
Yeah. And that can only be achieved when the angle in the lead wrist stays constant. As minute you move this wrist angle, the club's going to change attitude. All right. Now you're going to practice this pump drill. You're going to bump your hips toward the target and drop your right shoulder, and that'll drop your hands down. You practice that at home. Your hands will work out when the wrong segment of your body starts the downswing. Typically, when you start the downswing with your shoulders, the hands work away from the body and out and across the ball. So that drill of getting a lateral shift. So assuming you turn your hips 45, as you make that lateral movement, you haven't started to rotate them. Right. That's critical. You keep the rotation. 45 degrees of right rotation is maintained as you make that lateral shift in your lower half. And that keeps your back to the target. And remember, if your hips shift, your upper body axis tilts. Yeah. Hip slide, axis tilt, and that's what drops your hands. If you start with your shoulders, now you're not tilting, you're turning. If you overturn too early, the club comes out and across. You both do that, by the way, but that's okay.
Which part? There's a lot of information in there.
Right. Well, it's simple. Here, watch. You want to know? You both do this. All right. Watch the club. I'll draw a line on the shaft and a line through the top of the elbow. Now, you cock your wrist. That stays right on plane, but his shaft is too horizontal. Why? It's not parallel to the angle of the shaft.
What's too parallel? I mean, too horizontal?
This is the angle of the shaft. That's the angle he cocks his wrist on. It's too flat. That's a classic mistake of a guy that goes over the top. They go under, too shallow going back, then they flip it over, and that's what he does. Watch.
Yeah, but you and I have been trying to flatten
No, I get it.
Right?
I get it. No, we're not trying to flatten the backswing. We're trying to flatten the downswing. And so there's the downswing plane, which is a little bit, steeper than the backswing plane. So here's your backswing. When the left arm's parallel to the ground, the shaft is at 39 degrees. When the left arm is parallel to the ground on the downswing, the shaft is steeper than that. There, now the shaft's at probably 60 degrees.
So how do you work on that?
You do the opposite. You hinge it vertical on the backswing and you shallow it out.
But that's what you've been trying to stop me from doing.
What?
Getting too vertical. I was here and you said let's swing flatter. Swing more like a baseball bat.
You're thinking about two different things. The path your hands take around is a merry-go-round. That has nothing to do with the angle of the shaft.
Well, doesn't the shaft follow your...
No.
Huh?
No. See, now you're asking questions. You're making it more complicated. You're forcing me to make it more complicated. I can swing my hands around my waist. That has nothing to do with where the shaft is. That shaft straight up and down. My hands are around my waist. They're not the same thing. Your hand path and the angle of the shaft are totally two different concepts.
So how do you set the angle of the shaft?
So if you keep the handle in, what is the only way you can cock your wrist?
Up.
There's no other way to do it. That's the whole point. If you do this, you're not going to do that. Nobody does that.
Yeah, I do that. I do. Yeah.
Anyway,
I sense that.
The more you get the shaft up, the more it's going to lay down on the downswing.
Ah. Right?
I thought I was trying
compensate.
to flatten it. Okay.
But look, think of a baseball player. What does a baseball player when they throw? They go like this. They do this. That's the same move you do when you hit a golf shot. And the reason that happens is the lower starts before the upper.
You just hit his hot button. He'll do that. He knows that. He knows baseball.
Well, look, I mean...
Right. Skipping a stone.
If your arm is going back and your body's going forward, you have two opposing forces going in opposite direction, which creates a shallowing of the club. That's why I have people throw. When I want to teach them to pivot, I make them throw. Because everybody knows how to throw. Now, some people don't throw with mechanics, correct mechanics, but by and large, most people know how to throw. So if I said throw this club as far as you could, you would go like this. Back, and as you got to the back part, you would start down with your lower half. Anyway, don't make this more complicated. You forced me to get complicated here, but
No, I needed that
So-
explanation because I thought that's what you wanted me to be working on.
so you're a little
Identify with that.
you're shallow on the back and you're a little steep coming down. That's your MO. That's where you've always been. Now,
Is cocking the wrist, see the two knuckles? Is that what you mean?
watch this. This guy is the opposite of you, and so is every tour player. They go back on a steeper plane, and they come down on a shallower plane. Watch the angle he cocks his wrists on. Much steeper angle. That's 73 degrees. That's the angle you come down on, incidentally. Now, look how you cock your wrist. You're at 39. Now you're going to come down. Now watch what he does. He's going to go up, and he's going to get a running start. As the arms finish the backswing, the hips are already engaged. And now he's shallowing out. So he's gone from steep to shallow. Now the shaft is perfectly parallel to the inclined plane established at address. And that's why the club will run down that line. When it gets down here, now it's still parallel, still parallel, still parallel. Now it's going to run right down the line. And that's why they're good. So that's an on-plane swing. When you hear somebody say he's on plane, that's what they mean. Most players are on that plane coming down. All right, now that I've got you confused,
No, I think I got it.
I think you got it. It's not confusing.
Can I hit his couple?
Intellectually, it's easy to understand. Doing it's another problem.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother ball of wax.
So
Steve?
the cocking of the wrist, like I said, is that seeing the two knuckles?
No, that's when you take your setup on grip.
So, yeah, so if you keep the angle in the trail lead wrist, maintain it on the backswing, the shaft should always point to the middle of your chest. Think about it like this.
To the
Where's the
belly.
shaft point right now?
Yeah.
Okay, now watch. When I turn back, where's it point? It's still pointing the same place. So by definition, have I done anything with my hands?
No.
Nothing. That's how you become consistent. If my swing's
Okay,
the same every
isolated
time.
that way. Got it.
I don't do anything
Belly
with my
button,
hands.
not belly button?
Yeah.
Well, my club is slightly in front of the belly button. There's my belly button.
I've just heard you said, lift the club up.
Hold
No,
on.
I want it pointing, at your belly button, to me. To me. For me. Before
Okay.
I was little. I was like,
Yeah, I mean oh, you're talking about the angle of the shaft at address. Yes, yes. But again, what I'm talking about is the takeaway.
all right.
Neither one of you get the takeaway right, but it doesn't really. Look at this guy. Watch him swing. Okay, he goes up on this plane, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, watch how he comes down on a shallower plane. Notice how the club runs down that
Mhm.
line. All right.